Good morning, good morning, good morning. Great, happy morning. Why? Because the Creator breathed life into you this morning. He breathed life into me this morning. He woke you up this morning. He woke me up this morning. It wasn't the alarm clock. It wasn't the grandchildren. It wasn't even the trash truck. It was our Creator who decided that we, you and I, wake up this morning on day 77 of the Free to Hope presents 12 Steps Applied to COVID-19 Morning Recovery Conversation with Edwina B. That's me, y'all. Free stands for From Recovery, Emerge, Empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally using the 12 recovery principles created over 80 years ago by the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but come February the 23rd of 2021, we will be celebrating 31 years, one day at a time, learning, applying, analyzing, right? And practicing these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature in all my affairs, even with COVID-19 back in November and December of 2020. Yes, applying the 12 steps to COVID-19 has helped save my life, the lives of my loved ones, and can possibly help you and your loved ones, our city, our state, our community, our country, our world, because simultaneously we are all dealing with the devastating impact, effects, outcome, and fatalities of COVID-19. But guess who is in charge of it all? The Creator of us all. He is the only one that knows the beginning, the middle, and the end of this COVID-19. However, it's not the first pandemic or the last pandemic man will go through, have gone through. But for this pandemic, we can go to the solution, which are in the 12 steps that are spiritual in nature to deal with any and every physical condition, even COVID-19. But before we go on, we want to give homage, acknowledgement, honor to thanking our Creator for breathing life into us this moment, for waking us up this moment, because we know that there are others who did not, who will not, who cannot wake up this morning. We want to give homage to them too, those who have transitioned from COVID-19, loved ones left behind, those who are suffering through COVID-19, those who are on their dying bed this very second from COVID-19, those who have been doing the right thing to prevent from contracting COVID-19, and those who are still in denial, defiant, and rebellious regarding this COVID-19, those who are intervening on the behalf of others with COVID-19, jeopardizing their lives and lives of their loved ones. And so we want to give homage into the entire human race and our Creator just for 30 seconds of moment of silence. Join me. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of my Creator, who I choose to call God, and for the entire human race who is going through this COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for joining me, because you know what? There, by the grace of God, there go I. There, by the grace of God, there go my loved ones. And there, by the grace of God, go you. So as a result, we want to give homage to those who, like us, like you, like me, around the world, simultaneously, don't know what to do, where to go, who to believe, none of that, right? Confusion, doubt, fear, anxiety. So many things are happening simultaneously, but there are solutions, and they have been found in the 12-step programs, whether it be Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, and now COVID-19 Anonymous. If we learn and apply and practice these 12 spiritual principles, we can, we will, we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. Why? Because I know for 31 years I dealt with them, applied them, and practiced them from my disease of alcoholism, drug addiction, prostitution, and the whole lifestyle, attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, decisions, actions. I and family members contracted COVID-19 in November and December of 2020, and I did not apply these principles. Even though I had the information, why? Defiance. Having that sense of being invincible, rebellious, stubborn, self-centered, selfish. You can't tell me what to do, where to go, wash my hands. No, it's for y'all people, not me. So I contributed to contracting COVID-19 and infecting members of my family. So you better believe I'm applying these 12 spiritual principles to COVID-19 now. And I'm sharing them with you so that you don't have to go through what I and others have gone through. One day at a time, 1 minute at a time, learning how to be open-minded, honest, and willing to do the next right thing regarding COVID-19, because in our Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, they say that some of us must die in order for some of us to live. Why? Because some of us are just constitutionally incapable of being honest with ourselves. They also say they are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. In our disease of alcoholism, they say our lives had become unmanageable. We were powerless over alcohol, but God could and would, if he were sought, could remove the obsession and the compulsion. Well, guess what? He can and will and must remove whatever hinders us from being obedient, from yielding to the Spirit, from using some common sense and taking some simple suggestions to save your life, my life, and the lives of our loved ones. So that's why these 12 spiritual principles are needed to deal with any and all physical conditions. As Jason Lawrence says, we are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. No, we are spiritual beings living and walking this natural experience. And whatever physical conditions we have, will have had, coming from a spiritual angle to address them will increase our spiritual transformation, give us a spiritual awakening, increase our spiritual maturity, and obtain that psychic change that Dr. Carl Jung, Dr. Bob, and Bill W. Found out in dealing with the disease of alcoholism. No human being has the power, but God could and would if he was sought. So divine intervention, divine providence will lead you to divine light. Which brings me to my sponsors who have been supporting me. I'm getting new sponsors every day. It's free to the public. However, I want people to know that as a result of this information, it is getting out, and that we want to invite everyone to participate in allowing me to give this information out to as many people as possible for free. And so my sponsors include, and I'm going to share my newest sponsor. Yes. I had my granddaughter's birthday party at Crafty Crab. It's a newly uh, opened restaurant in Wilmington, Delaware, and the food was excellent. And so they gave out their mask. And so I'm advertising Crafty Crab Seafood Restaurant. My other sponsor is Free to Hope. Women do haul transportation services. My crown, my haircut is produced by Mark Cooper of Mr. C's Barbershop. The attire that you see me wear and the Afrocentric attire comes from Morgan's of Delaware and Lady T at Morgan's of Delaware. Some of my jewelry is provided by Catherine Butler. And I mentioned Divine Light. It's an organization that provides recovery treatment and supportive housing for their clients. The resources that I give credit to because I use them is Dr. Scott T. Allison, the article in Psychology Today, and Jason Waller breaking down the 12 steps, jasonwaller.com. So even though the information is free to everyone, I am soliciting sponsors and I can promote your cause. I can promote your business. I can even wear your mask. So contact me with the information that's on the screen or cash at me to $ free to hope so that we can increase the platform and spread this information to as many people as possible. So again, on behalf of my sponsors, I want to say thank you. And I want to thank my resources, Dr. Scott T. Allison and Jason Waller. So if you become my sponsor, I can wear your mask as well. All right. So now, what are the 12 spiritual principles that I'm talking about? Repetition is so important. And we're going to go with them right after I give you information of how I got to sit before you from the first day of sharing my experience with contracting and having COVID-19. That was on December the 3rd. But this article that was produced by Dr. Scott T. Allison back in March of 2020 in Psychology Today, he describes 7 points on how we as a society can benefit from the wisdom of the 12-step programs. Letting go of control, patience, keeping the focus on oneself, trust, living in the present, social connections, service to others. And he used the Al-Anon 12-step program, which is the same 12-step program that Gamblers Anonymous use, Narcotics Anonymous use, Overeaters Anonymous, right? And now COVID-19, all the same spiritual principles to direct that energy towards that specific area. But then we learn to practice these principles in all our affairs. So what are these spiritual principles that we are talking about and have been focusing on? And here they are. All right. So repetition is important to me. Y'all know that. So let's get right to it in terms of applying it to COVID-19. One, we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. Two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. That only means soundness of mind. Three, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. Four, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. Five, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Six, which is day 6 of this particular principle, were entirely ready to have God remove all defects of character. We're going to go on to 7. where it says, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, even you. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening, as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And so the main point is, when we think about how those other areas of concern like alcohol, gambling, sex, lust, all those 12-step programs, right? We realize that the drinking, the gambling, the working, the lusting are outside issues that reflect what's going on inside of us, right? And so in the 12-step program, we learn to look at that outer crutch, that outer substance, right? And we go back and we go inside, deep down inside, as to why we picked up that drink in the first place, why we started gambling, why we started lusting. In other words, where was those character defects that need to ignore, that need to hide, that need to escape? Where did it all come from? And that's why that 4th step, made a searching and fearless moral inventory, is so crucial. So I'm going to be honing in on 4, 5, and 6, and 7, right? Because in recovery principle number 4, that's where I learned that I had attitudes, ideas, and behaviors that were based on decisions and choices and actions way back when I was a little girl. Those character defects of being selfish and self-centered and rebellious and defiant and stubborn. Yes, where did that all come from? Why? How? Who was involved? So when we do our 4th step in our 12-step program, then in the 5th step we get help from another person to help get us to the exact nature of those character defects. And when we get to the exact nature of those character defects, we can say, wow, I don't like this. It doesn't work for me anymore. This hasn't been right. I need to change. And then we go to recovery principle number 6. So let's go on with our information before I continue our recovery conversation to give you an idea of what we mean, because it is important. So let's see what we have done so far with recovery principles 1 through 5, all right? So 1, we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19 and that our lives had become unmanageable. Think about it. How has your life been affected, impacted by COVID-19? Can you control COVID-19? Can you make it go away? Can you make it disappear? Can you stop it? We have to admit we are powerless. It is a living organism. It's looking to reproduce, right? So we have no control of that living organism to a certain extent. And as a result of us admitting our powerlessness, right? We see how it has caused our lives to become unmanageable. So if you want to do it like me, let's go from the reverse. What is making your life unmanageable regarding working, regarding living, regarding eating, regarding your health? COVID-19, okay? So are you powerless over COVID-19? Yes, and therefore my life is unmanageable. This is the only step that we have to take 100%, because if we don't take this 100%, there's no way we can be set free. From recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. So Recovery principle number 1 regarding COVID-19, taken 100% with total acceptance without any reservations. 2, came to believe that a power or powers greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And sanity only means soundness of mind. So think about it. When we listen to the CDC suggestions, when we see and hear tangible evidence, when we hear experiences or see experiences of others expressed in a group, right? When we see how our higher power has restored us to sanity, right? So number 2, came to believe. What is it going to take for you to become a believer that this COVID-19 is what? Real. What is it going to take for you to be restored to sanity? To say, I need to wear that mask. I need to wash my hands. I need to social distance. I need to create a contact tracing. I need to get tested. I need to get vaccinated. Right. What is it going to take for you to come to believe that these are the things you need to do? They are suggestions, but guess what? Does somebody need to make a suggestion to save your life? So what powers greater than you and me that can restore us to sanity, that can get us to see and experience that transformation to get out of selfishness, self-centeredness, ego, right? Pride, defiance, rebellion, all that kind of stupid stuff that's going to take my life and the lives of my loved ones. Why? Because I refuse to wear a simple mask that's designed to save my life, or to wash my hands off from touching things that I can wear and use on my face and contract it, so that I can be around people who's not wearing a mask, don't want to do those simple suggestions. Do I just want to just go here and there and disregard the safety of others and myself and my loved ones? For what? So what power or powers greater than you are going to restore you to sanity like they did me? Or do you have to contract it in order to be a believer? See, I thank God that I contracted COVID-19. Yes, I do. I thank God that I became a drug addict and alcoholic. Why? Because he knows my beginning, my middle, and my end. He knows that he can use broken, wounded, and shattered people like me and like you to rescue wounded, shattered, and broken people like me and like you. So yes, transparency is my motto. So if you want to see what I look like with COVID-19, go back to day 1 of 77 on December the 3rd, pull out my podcast, and you'll see. You'll see. As a matter of fact, listen, you may be from Missouri. Let me show you. Let me show you now, Let me show you now. Let me show you now. Yes, When I pull up that picture, you get to see how I looked, right? I didn't have these pretty white dentures in. No, I was sweating. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't smell. I couldn't taste to my fullest capacity. So that's what COVID-19 looked like on me. And as I continue to transition, now you see the result of surviving COVID-19. But you also see my mask, You know I'm washing my hands. I am following the suggestions. Why? Because I want to live and I want my loved ones to live. And guess what? I even want you to live. So when we do recovery principle number 2, came to believe that a power or powers greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, soundness of mind. All right. So let's go to 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. In a 12-step program, we do not ask you to believe in nothing. No. We ask you to identify a higher power of your own. Because if I look back into the power of powers greater than me and recovery principle number 2, why wouldn't I want to make that decision to continue to listen to the CDCs? Why wouldn't I make a decision to look at these statistics? Why wouldn't I make a decision to hear the research? Why wouldn't I make that decision on a regular basis so that I can get updated information on the vaccine, right? All of that. They are powers greater than me. So I want to make that decision on a regular basis, because self-will will come in there and wipe all that out, and I get back to my self-centeredness and selfishness. No, if I look at how I've been saved, how I've been able to breathe, how I've been able to help other people by making that decision to turn my will and my life over to that power, why wouldn't I make that decision on a regular basis? Huh? We are in this together, right? So when it talks about, what can I say? I just get hyped up. So made a decision. So let's go to the next one. And number 4 that we've been talking about, and this is where we get into that moral inventory, right? Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Don't you want to know why you are defiant? Don't you want to know why you are rebellious? Don't you want to know why you refuse to wear a mask? Don't you want to know why you so arrogant and self-centered? Don't you want to know why you so prideful? Don't you want to know why you so stupid? That's when I knew that I had a resentment against myself. I felt stupid. Edwina, come on, girl. You wear all these masks all these years, this, and that, and you don't want to put on a mask that's going to save your life. How stupid is that? I'm not saying you're stupid, but your decision not to wear one is stupid. I had a friend of mine. I have to enjoy that's stupid. Huh? So look at the decision. Don't you want to know why you are like you are? Don't you want to know where those fears came from? Don't you want to know why you have anxiety about this and that? Don't you want to know why you on image time? Don't you want to know why you rather save your face than to save your ass? Don't you want to know? I know, I want to know. And that's where that 4th step will help you to identify that searching and fearless moral inventory. When, where, and how were your character defects formulated, such as selfishness, defiance, stubborn, egotistical, prideful, you name it, we got them all, right? All right, so then we go to 5, so that we need to admit to God, to ourselves, who, he already knows, we already know, and to another human being. And the purpose of getting another human being is to help us get to the exact nature of those character defects, right? And so, just like I always say, we were born with natural instincts, right? Here they are right here. And as we are born into this thing called life and begin our journey and our process, right, those natural God-given instincts begin to far exceed their intended purpose. I become competitive with my family. I become overbearing with my grandchildren. I fight with my friends. And so those character defects begin to rise and rise and rise. And next thing you know, you wonder where those natural God-given instincts are. Well, they have begun to far exceed their intended purpose. And so those are the character defects that keep us from doing the next right thing, that keep us from practicing these simple suggestions that the CDC offers, right? So don't you want to know the exact nature? And so when we think about it, after we select the person, we need to be as honest as we possibly can. And we need to empty out that garbage can and be ready to have that garbage can empty, so that we don't have anything that will prevent us or hinder us from doing the next right thing regarding COVID-19. And most of us know that it is based in fear. But in recovery, we have an acronym for fear: face everything and recover. All right, so let's go to the next one and let's evaluate what I said I had that resentment against. So many of you know I had a resentment, which is a character defect of COVID-19, right? But that resentment was masked by anger, uncertainty, confusion, frustration, disbelief, character defects that were all based in fear. I told you I had a resentment against myself regarding my actions towards COVID-19, I said resentment was masked by stupidity, that was masked by defiance, selfishness, self-centeredness, regrets, remorse, and ultimately fear. So instead of forgetting everything and run, we in recovery say, no, face everything and recover. So let's go on because we have a lot to cover in this conversation, because we want to get to the exact nature so that we can begin to have these things entirely removed. So let's see here. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Why would any of us want to be left with any kind of defects, whether they feel good, we enjoy them or not? Just the word defect is enough for me to want to have that removed. What about you? No, why would I want anything that's defective, God, I created don't make defective things, right? So I'm not trying to sell myself short or you. No, I want all of them removed. And here's why, right? It says by Charles Du Bois, the important thing is this: to be able at any moment to sacrifice what you are for what we could become. So if you're telling me that these character defects, right, that I am in possession of right now, they are who I am I willing to have them sacrificed and removed so that I could become a better person, so I could protect my family, so that I can live? You telling me are you not willing to sacrifice those character defects to live? Oh, hell to the no. No. I felt guilty. I had remorse when I contracted COVID-19, but when I infected my loved ones, oh my God, my 2-year-old, the 78-year-old, no, for what? For what? So that's why these 12 spiritual principles are essential in applying them to physical conditions, particularly with this COVID-19. So let's go on. Now, we want to now talk about some of the other glaring defects that you may be in denial of. But if you are honest, honesty is open-mindedness. H is for honesty, O is for open-mindedness, and W is for willingness. So let's talk about the 7 deadly sins. You have to admit that you, in some degree, shape, form, or fashion, have pride, have greed, are lustful, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. You have to admit that there are times when you get angry, you have resentment, you are dishonest, you are defiant, you are rebellious. If not right now, one time and one point in your life, you have exhibited these character defects. Are they working for you? Did they work for you? How many of us said, when a moment of insanity cost me a lifetime of misery? And guess what? A moment of not wearing that mask can cause you your life. One moment of not washing your hands can contribute to you infecting your loved ones. One moment of not social distancing can have a permanent social distance, if you like that. Not taking the vaccine, and you talking about that vaccine only decreases the severity of the symptoms of COVID-19? Why wouldn't I want that removed? Let me show you. I got the vaccine shot. Y'all from Missouri? All right, here we go again. Let's start again. I'm getting that vaccine shot, and I'm waiting on my second booster, right? No. Yes.
All righty.
I had to dispel those rumors, those myths. I had to do my own research. I had to do my own questioning. I had to do my own evaluation. And yes, it was determined that I am going to take that vaccine shot because the symptoms that I experienced and the symptoms that I saw my 2-year-old experience, because out of the 8 of us, the other 6 was asymptomatic. But to see my 2-year-old go through that, and for me to go through what I went through, and if you're telling me the vaccine will decrease the severity of them symptoms, will decrease me possibly being hospitalized, will decrease the possibility of me dying, oh, you better believe I'm getting that shot. I got shots to save my behind during my addiction from them STDs, right? Huh? So when we talk about having any and all character defects removed that can hinder us from doing the next right thing, why wouldn't I do that, right? Why wouldn't I do that? So if pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, sloth, anger, resentment, dishonesty, defiance, rebellion, and you can name some too, but they're all based in fear. Fear of what? We learn in recovery to face everything in recovery, right? So when we talk about this information and we talk about how we are able to look at ourselves in the face and be honest to ourselves, then that's where Jason Waller's breakdown of the 12 steps are so vital. He uses other resources coupled with his own experience, strength, and hope. I interject my experience, strength, and hope so that you can hear and then listen to the importance of why these steps that are spiritual in nature can help us as an entire human race to deal with this physical condition called COVID-19, its signs, its symptoms, its effect, its outcome, and its fatalities. There is a solution. Are you proactive, reactive, inactive, or are you responsible regarding COVID-19? Are you in the prevention mode, intervention mode, or restoration mode of COVID-19? Only you can answer them questions. Are you interested in learning and applying these 12 spiritual principles to deal with this physical condition called COVID-19 so we collectively can stop the perpetuation of it? I hope you are. So with Jason Waller, he gives us a foundation. He gives us some preparation. He gives us a discussion, if you will, about the step, the benefit, the purpose, the spiritual transformation that's going to take place. And we have been doing that for the last 6 days. So now we are about to embark upon the questions posed by Jason Waller. See, if you were like me or are like me, I hear what you say, I read what you read, but sometimes I don't get it. Sometimes I just got a brain freeze or a brain block, I don't know. But listen, when we pose a question, it kind of gives us a better angle as to what you're saying, what you want to convey by posing it in a question. So that's what we're going to do the remainder of this time and get into the questions. But let's review the foundation and preparation that he gave us for doing recovery principle number 6. And if you need to go back to day 1 of my journey with COVID-19 and recovering from it, that's December the 3rd of 2020. If you want to go back to when I started my 12-step presentation recovery conversation with you, as prompted by Dr. Scott T. Allison, go back to April the 1st of 2020. So all of my podcasts are archived. They're on YouTube. They're on Facebook. I'm going to put them everywhere and anywhere I can, which is why I need those sponsors, right? All right. So the foundation that we have talked about regarding step 6. basically says step 6 of AA's 12-step program of recovery is all about the removal of what doesn't work in our lives, right? And we are applying it to COVID-19. We have completed step 4 and 5 and have surely have plenty of things that were revealed to us about what we need to get rid of in order to do the next right thing regarding COVID-19 and consistently do it. Create those habits so we don't take for granted like I did, and reducing the perpetuation of COVID-19, right? Step 6 can bring about significant and very noticeable change when it comes to the thought patterns and behaviors that have been with us for a long time. That's why doing that 4th step and getting to the exact nature. Listen, that onion is thick. That iceberg submerged under that water is wide and deep. We need to get to the exact nature of that iceberg. We need to get to the core of that onion and have the God of our understanding begin to remove those layers of character defects to chop away that iceberg of character defects, right? Yes. It says when breaking down step 6, he likes to focus more on the word ready, than entirely, but ready. And it goes back to Charles DeBoer's statement. The important thing is this: to be able at any moment, to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. One bad decision, one bad move, one bad choice can cause you your life, the lives of your loved ones, even your life, my life. We don't want to do that, do we? No. All right. And so it says here, when we talked about the shortcomings, while working on step 6, we learned about humility. It takes to see ourselves more clearly. When we do our 4th step and we have help with getting to the exact nature, we see who we really are. We see not what's wrong with us, but what happened to us to help us with those old and existing attitudes, ideas, behaviors, patterns, right? Choices, decisions, actions that may have felt good then, but have never really worked for us because they were defected. It did not come from a genuine point of humility, of love, right? Caring. No. It came from a defective attitude, idea, and ultimately behaviors, right? And so we get to see ourselves more clearly. And like Dr. Charles DeBoer say, what we are for what we can or could become. All right. So now he says, to be clear, Jason Waller, defects of character does not mean you are defective or that you are a bad character. In fact, instead of seeing your faults failing as defects, right, you should reframe them as shortcomings. So let me take a drink of coffee, okay? Here's to the 12 steps and CDC's suggestion. Let's have a toast. I can breathe. I can swallow. I can taste. I can feel. I can hear. But I want to listen. Right? All right. So he says here, when we talk about shortcomings, right? Now, I've been in recovery, going on 31 years. So I know, and I have been practicing them in all my affairs. And so let me give you an example of the one of the ways I know my character defects was rising, and I chose to ignore them. Is when I, as the adult of these family members, particularly my grandchildren, had the idea of wanting to do the right thing for the right reason at that time, right? And so, like anything else, right? I wasn't convinced totally. It was still out there, right? I was acting as if. So it really didn't infiltrate my heart, my spirit, because somewhere, somehow, I had reservations. I had the idea that I was invincible, that it won't happen to me. And therefore, I became defiant. I became rebellious. I became inconsistent with doing what they suggested. And therefore, I contributed to contracting COVID-19. And then I had the audacity and the nerve to fall short on the impact and the effect it could have on my grandchildren. So who was I really thinking about? Me! Knowing that these children were looking at me for leadership and care, I was thinking about me. But as a result of contracting it and surviving it, infecting my grandchildren and they surviving it, you better believe, I don't plan to fall short on those character defects anymore. No. So, all right, you get my drift, right? All right, so now we're down to the part where we ask questions. Now that you see the purpose of the reason for embracing and doing all of these steps, but particularly step 6, where we present ourselves to our power greater than us to decide what needs to be removed so that we can do the simple suggestions that are offered by the CDC, the research, the tangible evidence, to save our lives, to save the lives of our loved ones, to save your lives, our culture, our community, our city, our state, our country. And if we do it simultaneously around the world, we can be a part of the solution and no longer part of the problem until our Creator decides this pandemic is enough. But until then, these 12 steps will help us achieve that spiritual transformation, increase our spiritual maturity, right? To bring us to a state of soundness of mind, achieve that psychic change, to say, I will wear a mask. I will wash my hands. I will social distance. I will do contact tracing. I will get tested, and I am going to get vaccinated. Based on me doing my research, based on me asking questions, based on me asking my higher power to lead me and direct me and to prepare me. Yes. So, the six step questions are, so let me read his statement about them before we go into them. He said, in step 6 of AA, we get to put the anvil down. For many of us recovering addicts carrying around the 6th step of AA, Jason Waller weight of some pretty heavy shortcomings, not only recovery, it also puts us at risk for relapse. We have had these defects we're about to let go of for a long time, so there's probably a measure of fear about changing, because change means the unknown, and the unknown is part of why we drank or used. It's important to keep a sense of hope and trust in the program and the process of recovery that has worked on even the most deeply rooted character defects. All right. So what I want to do is to present these questions based on Jason Waller's responses or breakdown as he relates it to his disease of alcoholism and drugs, and I will interject. And tomorrow, God willing, we will change the area of focus to pose these questions centered around our character defects and us becoming entirely ready to have them removed regarding COVID-19. But I always like to give you the original before we acknowledge and do the replacement, okay? So these are the questions that Jason Waller uses in his breakdown regarding alcoholism and drug addiction, okay? So let's see what he has to say. All right. So let's go here. So the first question that Jason Waller poses, and I'm going to speak from the perspective of alcohol and drugs as Jason Waller is doing. So the first question is, what are your fears about doing a sixth step? 2, what does it mean that a higher power can remove them? 3, what is your responsibility? 4, do you believe you can change? Have you changed so far? 5, are some of your character defects enjoyable because they give you pleasure? 6, are there any defects that you think cannot be removed? Are you willing to have all of them removed? If not, why? 7, how does surrender help with step 6? And 8, what actions can you take to show that you are entirely ready? So let's think about it. When we look at question number 1, what are our fears about doing a sixth step? Now, when I did my sixth step in Jason Waller and our disease of alcoholism and drug addiction, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. So the question becomes, all right, then, what are your fears about doing a sixth step? Fear of what? Having some of those defects removed that I use as survival tools. Fear of being changed and don't know how I'm going to be changed. Fear of what I'm going to become if I am if those character defects that I've had majority of my life, they are gone now. What's going to become of me? I may have fear of what I may look like, what I may feel, that people may think I'm soft now instead of being hard and firm, right? They may see my vulnerability. They may see that I'm not really humble. I'm fear of being humiliated, right? So that's what we mean when we talk about addressing some of your fears if you choose not to do the sixth step. But if we acknowledge what our fears are, then we can talk about them. We can evaluate them. That person in the fifth step that we did it with can help us get to the exact nature. So in other words, before we embark on these steps, right? We're not talking about jumping into them and doing them right away. No, let's do an assessment. Let's do an evaluation. Let's talk about the process. Let's talk about what's to be achieved. Let's have a conversation on it so I can be motivated, determined, and educated as to why I need to do them and why they will help save my life. It's not doing Edwina's will anymore. It's about doing the will of my Creator who saved me from alcoholism, drug addiction, right? And so he's telling me that in order for me to use you, Edwina, in order for me to use you, Jason, we have to discuss. We have to become aware. We have to acknowledge those defects of character that stands in the way of me doing that. So I don't want you to have fear because I want to use you. So we have to discuss these issues before we embark on doing the step. And so we have to dispel any rumors about doing a sixth step. Okay? What does it mean that a higher power can remove them? What does it mean that a higher power can remove them? In relation to our drug addiction and alcoholism, Jason Waller and I, listen, and maybe you, oh, I can have a drink. Oh, I can have a hit. Oh, I'm only going to prostitute one night. I'm only going to trick. I'm only going to lie one time. And then we see the perpetuation of those character defects escalate, don't de-escalate, don't decrease, right? Because we always say, well, I'm a change. But what does the question say? What does it mean that a higher power can remove them? Because obviously I don't, Jason Waller don't, you don't have the power to remove those character defects. No, you don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. Some of them we enjoy too much. Some of them feel good to us. Some of them we are afraid to let go of. So we cannot remove. We have to be willing for them to be removed by a power greater than us that gave us our natural God-given instincts, that knows what those instincts are in their defective ways. We have to present ourselves to that higher power for him to remove them. Okay? So we get to discuss that too, because we think we have the power and we don't. What is our responsibility? What is our responsibility? Our responsibility is just to be humble, to be willing to have this creator who created all of us, to present ourselves to him as we are, so that he can do what he needs to do, so that we can become what he destined for us to be. That's our only responsibility, to make ourselves available. All right. Let's go on. I might not be able to get through all of them. Do you believe you can change? Do you believe you can change? Ooh, do you believe you can change? If y'all have ever suffered with an addiction, can you imagine people like me and Jason who have been out there for years doing all kinds of things, right? And we thinking we in control, and we thinking we got it together, but all the time we are going deeper and deeper and lower, right? And then we realize that, well, I can't stop this. I can't stop this. I can't stop this. Am I ever going to change? Am I ever going to change? Is it ever going to stop? Is it ever going to stop? And so when we get to that point in any area of our lives, right, do you believe you can change? For a long time, we did not believe we could change. We did not believe we could stop using, we could stop drinking. We didn't believe it, that we could change. Most of us thought we was going to die like that. We was going to die like that. So, in answer to this question, I wanted to believe that I could change. But it wasn't until on February the 22nd of 1990 in the streets of Philadelphia underneath a parked car that I wanted to die, or for him to show me a better way. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, if it's God's will that he reunites us on day 78. And so I ask you again to be proactive, Are you being proactive, reactive, inactive, responsible regarding COVID-19? Are you in the prevention, intervention, or restoration mode of COVID-19? All right. Only you can answer those questions. But if it's God's will that we are reunited on day 78, we will continue this recovery conversation. In the meantime, I want to acknowledge my sponsors again and also leave you with the information to be a sponsor. All right. So my sponsors are, okay, let's put that up here and let's stop this and add this. All right. So Crafty Crab Seafood, free to Hope LLC, Women Do Haul Transportation Services, Mr. C's Barbershop, Morgans of Delaware, Lady T at Morgans of Delaware, Jewelry by Catherine Butler, Divine Light Inc., Recovery Treatment Center and Supportive Housing. My resources are credited to Scott T. Allison, PhD, of Psychology Today article, and Jason Waller, breaking down the 12 steps. Go to jasonwaller.com. If you want to be a sponsor, please contact me. This information is free to the world, to as many people who would love to hear it. So cash at me at $free to hope, or contact me at edwina.bell@yahoo.com, 302-690-6679. Also, share with you the information of me getting that vaccine shot. Yes, I am from Missouri. You may be too. So listen,
We'll watch you for about 15
I want to
minutes.
leave right
Okay,
now.
okay. And
Okay.
then we'll check with you and we'll give you a date. In about a month, we'll call you. How about that? In a month? Yeah. All right. 28 days. All righty. Can you take a
All right. And so now I want to close with my book, my book that I wrote for the first 4 years in my recovery, that talked about the journey of transitioning from addiction into the marvelous light. So until tomorrow, be safe. May God bless you. And